As many of you know, on July 4th and 5th in the Texas Hill Country, the rivers turned deadly, sweeping away cars, homes, and lives. Among the victims were 27 precious girls and more than 100 others. There's still more than 100 people missing. So it's just an incredible tragedy. And the heartbreak is unbearable for many. So I thought I would provide this insight. As some of you know, that I am an indie researcher, and I have had the opportunity to interview hundreds of people who had near-death experiences. And recently, the question was asked, what was it like to drown? And if you think of what a normal drowning we imagine on this side would be like, it would seem like a terror-filled ordeal, panic, grasping, gasping, desperation. But those who've experienced a near death through drowning describe something altogether different, which is why I really want to share this. Any of you that have really been disturbed with the whole drowning situation, I want to share some of these comments, because overall what they have described was more tranquility and not really a struggle, but more of a surrender, and not the end, but yet it was more of the beginning. And so there's some beautiful stories here, and I hope that this will really help you. Patricia, who drowned in a violent churning waters when she was 20, described it this way: 1 second, I was there. The next, I was completely out of my body. No discomfort at all. It was peaceful and beautiful and full of the best unconditional love ever. As soon as she realized she couldn't hold her breath anymore, she was gone. Not lost, not broken, not even afraid. Her conscience was completely free. She rose up into a realm where peace reigned supreme. Light, tiny at first, drew her towards what was a magnetic force of joy and recognition. She said, I had an intense knowing that I was going home. I love that comment. I fully believe that we were home before we existed. We were with God. We were with Jesus. That literally at the moment of conception, there was a spark that occurred. Scientists has proven there's literally a spark, and that we became into existence. And we're here on the earth for a certain period of time. And when our time is finished here, we just go back and rejoin God that we were with before. God, it says in the Bible that he always knew us. He knew us before we were in the womb. That's because we were with him before. And this is exactly what I hear over and over in so many near-death experiences, that I knew I was going home. Then she said, this energy was what made me everything. It's like the energy of God made her. I really believe that too. Greg Starr, who drowned while he was scuba diving, echoed the same truth. He said, I left my body before it got traumatic. It's actually pretty common that God removes the soul before we suffer. That's so comforting to me to know that I understand there's tremendous trauma around all these little girls that have passed away in the river. But I also want you to think of the 100 or maybe even 150 or more other people from 4 years old to 90 years old that also went through this same experience. I don't want to devalue their lives anymore. It kills me that girls passed away, but 100 other people also passed away. And to know that they may not have suffered near like what you think they had suffered. Because in many such accounts, the soul detaches before the final breath is even gone. What remains behind in the water is only a body. While there is a real person, your spirit is actually on its journey on the way home already. Mona, who nearly drowned when she was 17, recalls the violence of being held under the water by a guy that she had met, and they were splashing each other, and he held her down, but her transition came with no fear. Instead, she says she entered a cave with a loving God and felt completely safe. That she saw her loved ones celebrating her. She saw her little brother who had passed away years before, and she saw her physical body being rescued from above. So she had floated above. She saw herself being pulled out by her friends. And after they revived her, she said, I was disappointed in returning. It was so peaceful and loving there. Another lady by the name of Deborah, well, she said she drowned as a child. And at first she felt some fear, but then the color gold totally enveloped her. All of it, the pain, the panic, and all the fear faded away. And what she remembers now is the peace. She said, I thought this isn't so bad. I felt completely at peace. Michelle had a similar story to that. She said, she literally rose above and she was watching herself from above. And she said, there was no pain. She said, just peaceful love and just observing is all that she really realized until, again, later on, she was revived. It sounds impossible, I know. Drowning, but to feel only warmth and light, to be separated from your body, but still alive in spirit, and witnessing your own rescue. Or sometimes, you return from the heavens. Some of these folks actually said that they had a life review. They literally saw their lives flash in front of them as they saw all these events of their life as they transitioned. But over and over, the story tells of those who drowned, and they live to tell about it. Even young children remember this decades later to the utmost degree of accuracy. Do you remember your dreams years later? You typically don't. But when you have a near-death experience, no matter how old you get, no matter how young you were when you had it, you remember everything down to the finest detail. One gentleman's telling me the story. He said, I floated through the walls and I could actually see the 2x4s in the walls, and there was writing on the walls as I floated through them. He goes, I remember it to this day, and it had been 40 years prior to that. Unbelievable story. So even Patricia, back to her story, she said, I zoomed straight into a huge ball of the brightest light I'd ever seen, filled with the most intense love, joy, happiness, peace, and acceptance. Sounds like a pretty cool place to be. And, the Bible talks about this same stuff. It says in 1 John 1:5, it actually says, God is light, and there is no darkness in him. And in Thessalonians, it says, for you are the children of the light and of the day. We don't belong to the darkness and the night. We belong to the light. All these folks that go across the other side, they see the light, they experience the light, and that light is incredibly loving. And all the other folks that I talk to about this will say that it was a spiritual being, and most of them will describe that as Jesus, that he is literally the face of God. And it says Jesus is the light of the world. It's not a metaphor. And I'll guarantee these girls and others got a chance to see the light of the world in Jesus. And so I hope that some of that provides you some comfort, knowing that before the suffering occurred, they were extracted from their body, engulfed in an immense amount of love, and they're held tightly by their Lord and Savior today. So I hope you feel that blesses you a little bit. You can certainly leave comments. I'm happy to address those in much more detail. I hope that y'all have a blessed day, and God bless Texas. God bless those families that are going through a rough time. I am praying for each and every one of you. Take care.